This video goes with a blog that I'm writing on how to practice intervals. So I'll show you 5 exercises to practice intervals. Let's start with the first one. Let's say in a key of C or A minor. Let's say in a key of C or A minor, which have the same 7 notes. They solo with third intervals. So first off, you want to pick a string set. Let's say the top 2 strings, so third intervals, you're going to have C and E, D and F, E and G, F and A, G and B, A and C, B and D, C and E. So I'm playing 2 notes, a third interval apart, but I'm really only paying attention to the lowest of the 2 strings I'm playing on, meaning I'm playing on the B and the E string. I see the scale mapped out on the B string, so I see C, I know that's a major third. I see the note D, I know that's a minor third. So I see the note on the lowest string, I apply the right fingering on top of it. F is note number 4 in a key of C, I need to play this fingering now, the major third. G is note number 5 in a key of C, I need to play this fingering again, the major third, and so on. So a good way to practice this, these fingerings and these intervals is you pick a string set and you solo over songs, for example. So let's crank this forward a bit. So this is Child in Time by Deep Purple, which is in the key of A minor. And then you just solo. Like that. Then after 2 minutes or so, you could change string set. Then next 2 strings and so on. So that'll be exercise 1. Let's stop the song. Exercise 2, you don't need songs for this. You don't need to be rhythmically creative or anything. Exercise 2, what you basically do is you play intervals and you add open strings to the intervals you're playing. So let's say that I'm in the key of C. All these notes belong to a C scale, also all the open strings. And let's say they're playing on the D and the G string. So I'm playing F and A, major third. I add open strings. I could on any string set, of course. I could play on the A and the D string. So I'm just hitting open G, B and E strings that I'm adding to the interval lines that I'm playing on the A and the D string. Sounds cool to arpeggiate though. So arpeggiate means you play 1 note at a time in your chord or interval. So you create really cool lush voicings this way. Now the open strings I added now are all on top of my, above in pitch my interval, but it could also be underneath. Let's say that I'm playing third intervals, let's say on the top 2 strings, right? And I can play open strings below that. So can do this on any strings at every interval, of course. I play third intervals, but fourths works also. Fourths down on the G and the B string with an open D and an open high E string. So that is approach number 2 to practice, where you play intervals. Any interval works. Like, let me show you with 6, for example. So let's say I'm playing 6 intervals on the A and the G string. So now I could hit like an open E string or the top 2 strings open. I just got to make sure that I mute the string in between my fingers, and even that I could have open, I guess. What I just did, I played 6 intervals on the A and the G string. I hit an open D string in between. Or like intervals, let's say on the G and the E string. And so on, so I play 7 intervals with open A string and whatever other strings, open B string, open D string, and so on. Next exercise. Scroll through my page here. Okay, hard rock, pedal point approach. This is typical 80s, where you play intervals on one string set, let's say the middle 2 strings on the guitar, the D and the G string, and you hit an open bass against that. So I moved 4th intervals on the D and the G string against an open A string rhythm, and you could in A minor. So you could also play any interval, fifths. Or you could make combinations, let's say thirds. So that's thirds. So when you do combinations now, check this out. Kept switching between thirds, fourths, fifths, a second interval. Playing F and G string, an F note and a G string, I meant to say, against the A bass. Sixth intervals. So, oh yeah, you could do this on any string set, of course. Open D string. Open E string. And so on. Next approach, let me scroll down to my list. Oh yeah, intervallic soloing technique. You play intervals, let's say, let's go back to third intervals, let's say third intervals, but you separate the notes and your fingers. So you do, instead of playing, you lift up your fingers so the previous note stops by the time you hit your new note. So I'm just playing third intervals really. Now to add to the intervallic nature, to make it more interesting, you could also hit open strings. I'm going to do this with my fingers so you see where I'm hitting an open string. So alternate between like you're hitting an open B string or an open B string again, then next time open E string or a couple of times in a row. So I'm basically adding open strings within my interval. So like. Of course, like that doesn't sound super interesting, but it gets really interesting when you start being rhythmically more creative with this and faster. Right? So when you do this over songs now, I'm not sure if Child in Time is the best song for this, but so. It gets really fun when, in addition to playing horizontally and adding open strings, when you add vertical playing to that. What I mean with this is, let's say that I'm playing, stick to third intervals, so. I'm vertically changing changing strings around, for example, open string. So I walked all the way up from the 6th and the 5th string to the 5th and the 4th, to the 4th and the 3rd, to the 3rd and the 2nd, to the 2nd and the 1st. Meanwhile, kind of moving horizontally also, in addition to vertical. So what I'm really doing, so let me like do this a little more slowly. So let's say A, C, open, and then I can or not hit an open A string, for example, to add an open string thing. So I'm really thinking groupings of 2 strings where I separate the notes and then I'll leap to like the next 2 strings. Really good picking exercise, by the way, not easy to pick. So oversong. So fast forward a bit. So that's a good approach to practice the intervals. This is a little more advanced, of course. This is more challenging. And then one more, playing over A minor blues, 12-bar blues in A minor. So happens that open strings, A is the root chord number 1 in A minor, D is the 4th, and E is the 5th, which is exactly the 3 chords you use to play blues with. So you got 1, 4, 5, 1. So a cool thing you can do is where you hit an open A string, and that's your bass foundation supporting you while you solo on top of that. So then you go to the 4 chord D, back to the 1 chord, then 5, 4. Play 4, 5 at the end, and then back to bar number 1. At the same time, open E string, open D string, open A, E, back to A, bar number 1. So there you go. So this goes with the blog that I wrote. So the blog is going to be published in a couple of months from now. So I'm writing all my publications ahead of time. So keep checking the blogs, and that video is going to be implemented in there, and the blog is going to give you the full description of everything I just did. Okay, have fun with all this stuff, and yeah, keep practicing.